Hello everybody, my name is Megan and welcome to a spooky reading vlog. So this is part of my Halloween series in which I am reading either very specific books or, as is the case with this vlog, sort of miscellaneous spooky vibes. I realised I've not been doing so great at picking books that I'm excited about this year. I've just been sort of reading for the sake of it, and I just really want to target things that I'm interested in right now, and it's spooky season. So we're going to just read some miscellaneous spooky books because I have some either on my shelves or easily available to me. So that's the plan. So first I'm going to go through my TBR and then I'm going to tell you why I think I'm going to like them. Does that make sense? It better. So the first book on my TBR is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. This is, from my understanding, it's like a portal fantasy horror in which someone enters another world and finds like that there are creatures there that maybe wish her harm. And I have really enjoyed every other T. Kingfisher that I've read. I started this a while back and I didn't get super far in, but I was enjoying what I was reading and the atmosphere was great, and there was a scene with a bus full of school children that did sort of freak me out a little bit. So I'm definitely excited to give this one a go. Because I have only really read T. Kingfisher's more like cozier fantasy, or like the fairy tale retellings, or like which are slightly on the steamier, creepier side. So yeah, I really want to give this one a go. Next we have The Gathering Dark, which is an anthology of folk horror, and the reason I wanted to read this one is because it's edited by Tori Bobolino, who I have read a book from and enjoyed. I read The Devil Makes Three, which is like a dark academia book, and really liked it. And also Alison Saft has a story in this, and I really liked Down Comes the Night by Alison Saft, which is a sort of more gothic leaning YA story set in like a creepy old house with a mystery attached. But it also has stories from Chloe Gong, who I've read from and enjoyed, Hannah Witten, who I've read from and enjoyed, Tori Bobolino, previously mentioned, and Courtney Gould, who I've not read from but plan to in the future. So yeah, I am excited to dive into some folk horror in this, and I feel like short story form might work for me with horror, because I've not dived really into horror. Hopefully this video will make me, but I have erred more on the spookier side as opposed to the actual haunted, like the actual scary side, so I'm hoping that this will deliver. And then this one feels like cheating because it's Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which is a sequel. So I think I'm gonna like this one because I liked book one. But book one is a dark academia set in Yale. There's secret societies, there's ghosts, there's... I feel like I do need a refresher before jumping into this one, but there's definitely sort of a spooky element with the demons and the ghosts and the travelling to hell, because they're hell-bent, you know? So excited to finally catch up with this series. I've had the Pretty Ellen McRae edition on my shelf for so long now and not read it, which is embarrassing. What else am I reading for this? Next, keeping with the dark academia theme, I've got A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft, because I really enjoy Alison Saft, and this is her adult debut. It's sapphic dark academia, and I've loved everything. I've loved everything else they've written that I've read so far, so definitely excited to give this one a go. And it comes out soon, or it's out now, one of the two, but I do have an arc of it, so if it's not out by the time I get around to reading it, I will definitely be kindling that and getting that read. I'm really excited about it. Finally. I'm diving into horror on the recommendation of Jem from Bookish Gems, and I'm reading Stolen Tongues by Frederick Blackman, and I don't know what this is about. I just know that it genuinely scared Jem, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. So this is the cover. I'm assuming it's some kind of creature horror, that there's some kind of monster, but I truly have no concept of what it's about, and I don't really know what A Dark and Drowning Tide is about other than it being a sapphic dark academia, and I feel like not knowing going in is probably my best bet. So yeah, that's the TBR. The reason that I thought this might be a good idea is like I have sort of liked dark academia spooky style books in the past. I really like Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew, which leans into that dark academia vibe and definitely has a lot of atmosphere. I think things like Middle Game by Shauna Maguire leans kind of spooky. Bunny by Mona Awad I feel like has a similar sort of spooky weird factor to it. What else? What do I do spooky in any other capacity that I've not mentioned in other vlogs in this series? Maybe not, but I do really I really like atmosphere in books, and I feel like spooky books do that really well. Like if something is atmospheric, if I feel like I'm there, you've won me over. Like the Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, not creepy but atmospheric, so there's that. So yes, I will check in with you when I have updates or if I'm doing something fun around the time when I'm reading these. And I think I'm going to get started with The Hollow Places because I started that one once already, and I feel like I definitely need to do a recap before I get around to Hellbent. I definitely need to read Ninth House again. I'll read a really detailed summary of Ninth House before I jump right in. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Okay everybody, just jumping in to let you know I started my first book for this vlog. I don't know if I gave you an idea of what it might be when I first opened it, but I've decided to start with A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. I am reading The Ark on my Kindle, having the best time. Seeing everyone else with their Kindles recently though, having their cute plastic cases is sort of making me want one, but I do really love the case I have, so I will pop the covers up here. I'm hoping to get both editions. So the UK one looks like this, very pretty, published by Daphne Press. It is gorgeous. The US one, which I have all of other Alison Saft books in, looks like this, also stunning. So hopefully I really like it and can justify that purchase. Autumn has really come out to play today. It is absolutely miserable outside, so I'm going to curl up on the couch and get cozy and read this book, maybe get myself a jam tart, finish my tea. But I have read a little bit of it now, so I thought I would jump in and tell you what it's about, because I know I didn't tell you that in the beginning, because I did not know. I still not read the synopsis, so I'm like 2 chapters in, and it's about Lorelai, who is a folklorist and is part of an expedition to go find, oh, I've already forgotten, I think a magical spring, and they can get power from the spring if they find it, which will benefit their country. It seems to be set in a sort of vaguely Germanic area and seems to sort of have an anti-Semitic tone that I'm sure is going to be very interesting to read about. We also have Sylvia, who is part of this expedition as well, and her and Lorelai don't get along. Lorelai does not like Sylvia and doesn't approve of her methods of dealing with the sort of folklore elements of the world. And I've met a couple of other people involved in the expedition as well, and I don't really know what's going to happen on the expedition. I feel like something bad might happen, like maybe the expedition is being targeted in some way, and people are hoping for it to fail, maybe something else goes on, I don't know. But I'm very interested in the dynamic between Sylvia and Lorelai currently, because Lorelai is not liking Sylvia, and I feel like this may be who our romance is between, considering they are on said covers of the books. So very excited to dive in and continue reading. Hello. I feel like I just keep updating you from the same position, but oh well. I have started A Dark and Drowning Tide. I've told you this. I think I gave you a brief synopsis. So I continued with A Dark and Drowning Tide, and I'm like 35% in now. I definitely got to part 2. We have hit our inciting incident, which I did not know when I first spoke to you, I don't think, which is that the leader of the investigation, who our main character really deeply trusts and appreciates, has been murdered, and that the plot now is to find out who did it, whilst also continuing with the search for the Earthsprung. I'm thinking that one of the people on the expedition with Lorelai, our main character, perhaps did it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But I am sort of confused, and this is an arc, so things might have changed in the final version, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think some of the pacing is a little weird. So I'm really enjoying the hints we're getting of Lorelai and Sylvia sort of having feelings for each other, and like they have a very tense relationship at the moment. Like Lorelai is a very aggressive person and I love her, she's so angry. I am obsessed with it, but she's sort of not picking up some of the hint that Sylvia may be laying down, and also is not understanding that she is in fact attracted to Sylvia and is completely repressing this, and I'm enjoying that immensely. But Lorelai also has this unresolved trauma, and she mentioned it a couple of times, like the first 20%, and just like dropped a name and that there was some kind of event that had happened, and then we just sort of get it told to us. It's not told to like Sylvia as part of a deeper conversation about like her trauma or her background or her life. It's just sort of told to us in the story as we're in Lorelai's head, and it doesn't feel impactful. It just sort of feels like we've had a sprinkling of what the trauma could be, and then it's just there, and it doesn't have any impact on the story in that moment. And I don't know if it would have been moved in the final copy, because like I said, I am reading an e-arc, but that's my only thoughts so far. I'm excited to continue and learn more about sort of each of the individuals on the trip and more about the world. And like, I'm definitely enjoying the atmosphere. It's not my favourite Alison Saft so far. That's definitely still Down Comes the Night and I really, really like A Fragile Enchantment, but I'm having a good time. So yeah, thought I'd update you on my lunch break because I went into work this morning, into the office as you do, and it's so cold and it was so busy. Someone stole my desk. You have to book a desk. Someone was sat in it. I was like, well, that's frustrating because I went through the effort of booking it. So I had to sit somewhere else and I didn't like it. And then it was really cold and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to put a giant jumper on, which I have done. I'm going to go eat some lunch and I guess I'm going to work for the rest of the afternoon, even though all I really want to do is have a nap. So yeah, I guess I'll check in with you maybe around like the 70% mark, unless I have anything interesting to say before that. Hello. Could the lighting be any worse? I don't think so. It is. It's quite late. I have been on sprints this evening with Jem from The Creepy Geek, who I may have misnamed earlier in this vlog. That's irrelevant. What am I here to update you on? I am 70 or so % of the way through The Dark and Drowning Tide. I am having a good time, but I do have some thoughts that are maybe not super positive. I will share the positive thoughts first. Okay, so there was a moment in here when Lorelai was internally thinking about the logistics of eating the sort of supernatural creatures, the Vilda? Anyway, my inability to remember the specific names of any place, creature, thing, person in this book is by no means a fault of the book. It is late at night. I am tired and I've been struggling with words all day. So Lorelai, our main character, is very much depicted as of sort of a Jewish background. They're called Yavani, and the Yavani do not have laws in place for the eating of these folkloric creatures, and there is sort of nothing written down, and she very clearly has the thought of their elders have been debating it for hundreds of years, and I found that amusing because it's very in keeping with, my glasses are fogging up, traditional Jewish sort of scripture and discussion, and I appreciated that inclusion. I haven't enjoyed how the romance is progressing, which is devastating to me. I feel like we turned from Lorelai being sort of hateful and not acknowledging anything good about Sylvia to being like, oh, but no, I've liked her the entire time, and I feel like we've been in her head the entire time, so we've not seen that. And I feel like she's gone from hating her to wanting her in like a blink of an eye, and it's sort of all been a bit trite, and it's just sort of made me a bit sad because I really wanted to be rooting for the romance, and it is very slow burn and it took a while to come up, but like you could see sort of snippets of it being like a foundation laid for, but I thought the realization would be more sort of stark in Lorelai's thought process rather than her not having any sort of realization about it and just being like, oh well, I like connect, like I'm not explaining myself very well, and I'm hoping to articulate it better when I finish the novel. That's my current thoughts. I'm enjoying the way the plot is going. I feel like at this point, the mystery, anyone could have done it. I wouldn't be surprised, apart from if Lorelai did it. Like Sylvia could have done it, you know, Hank could have done it, Heike could have done it, Ludwig could have done it, Adelbright could have done it, Wilhelm could have done it. She might not even be dead. Like, anything could have happened and I wouldn't be surprised at this point because everyone is so suspicious. And I don't know exactly where it's leading, but I do know that quite a lot of things need to happen in this last 30% for me to give it a high rating, but I imagine that quite a lot is going to happen. Like, I'm not anticipating it being bad, I'm just not getting 5-star feels from it at the moment, which is disappointing. But yeah, I will update you when I finished and hopefully have more comprehensive, concise, useful thoughts to share. I just thought it might be worth getting some of these out now before I forget them entirely. Hello, it has been so long since I checked in with you that I have finished the book that I was last speaking to you about, and I've also read the entirety of another book. So let's start with A Dark and Drowning Tide. I finished this a couple of days ago now, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I liked it a lot. I love Alison Saft and how she writes her characters and the plots, but it was just, the romance didn't hit for me in the way it has with all of her other books, which are right behind me because they're favourites. Like, I love Alison Saft, and it was just the way they went from hatred to romance that just, it didn't feel authentic to the characters, it didn't feel believable, it felt quite rushed. I also feel like the way in which the folklore elements were integrated, so there was a lot of insertion of stories of the mythology of the world, because our main character Lorelai is a folklorist, so she researches folklore tales and sort of then relates them to whatever she's got going on in the current moment, and the way that those stories were integrated just didn't work for me. It was very much just she hears something, you get a little bit of text that explains the story and then you go right back into the plot, as opposed to it being weaved in a more pretty or like nuanced way. I feel like the The Once and Future Witches did that quite well with Alex E. Harrow, where at the beginning of some chapters you would get like a story or a spell or something that would then tie into what was coming, and it was sort of outside the narrative but you still got the information, and it was quite succinct, as opposed to A Dark and Drowning Tide. And that might be something that has changed in the traditional published version. They might have just seamlessly gone into it a bit more. They might be separated slightly in the formatting. I don't know, because I read in eArc. But yeah, it wasn't my favourite Alison Saft, sadly. I also feel like, considering it was a sort of moody, gothic, dark academia sort of locked room mystery, not locked room, but you know, they're on a boat, they're travelling, but it's quite isolated. There's only them in the story. We don't really get introduced to new people after. Despite that, it didn't feel like the stakes were very high at the end. Everything sort of wrapped up very easily, and it didn't feel like authentic to the story that we'd had up until that point. Because we had quite a lot of discussions around sort of the treatment of the Yavani and how Lorelai sort of feels about her situation, and how the other more privileged members of the team sort of maybe don't understand that and haven't reacted properly to it in the past. And I feel like that just got sort of brushed over and we didn't think about that anymore once the ending had happened, which was a little bit frustrating. And then once I'd finished that, I decided that I was going to read The Gathering Dark, which is an anthology of folk horror edited by Tori Bovolino, and it features 10 short stories all by different authors, and I have read from 4 of them in the past. So the first story is by Erica Waters, which I've never read Erica Waters prior to this. The next is by Chloe Gong, who I've read from before. Tori Bovolino I have read from before. Hannah Witten and Alison Saft I've read from before. And then new to me authors completely again, we have Olivia Chadder, Courtney Gold, Aidan Polydoris, Alex Brown and Shakira Toussaint. So let me talk you through my ratings for each of the stories. So we have Stay by Erica Waters, which I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. It has made me very intrigued to go back and pick up more Erica Waters. I do own The River Has Teeth, and that almost made it into the TBR for this video, so slightly sad I didn't pick it now, because I did enjoy her writing in this, and I enjoyed the sort of the sapphic element. I enjoyed the sort of the familial thread that went through it all, and it wasn't the spookiest atmosphere, but it was definitely an interesting concept and I enjoyed it. The Tallest Poppy by Chloe Gong is a 3. I didn't love the execution of it. I didn't think the story was really... It didn't really make me feel anything. I wasn't scared, I wasn't anxious, I wasn't concerned. I was just sort of like, why are we doing this? Like, and at no point did anything that was happening scare me, which I feel like was the intent. Loved by All Save One by Tori Bovolino, I did really like. I've not really told you what any of these were about, but Loved by All Save One is the first one that made me actually feel a little bit nervous. It was a home invasion type story that also had like a haunting element, and the home invasion side of it sort of had me on the edge of my seat. It had me feeling anxious and stressed, and like I had to speak to the book to sort of tell myself it wasn't real and that everything was going to be fine. So that one I think I'm going to give a 5. I really enjoyed that one. One Lane Bridge by Hannah Witten is a 4. It's about a group of friends who go to find a demon at the bridge, and then sort of the bad things that happen after that. I thought the atmosphere was really good, and the resolution was also quite interesting. Ghost on the Shore by Alison Saft, sadly it was a 3. It was interesting in concept. I just feel like, I don't know, I wanted a little bit more from it. It didn't quite give me the catharsis that I think is necessary from the particular story that was told. Petrified by Olivia Chadder, I really liked. I'm going to give this one a 4.5. I think it was really interesting. I liked the concept. I liked how like no holds barred it was and how unapologetic, and yeah, I really enjoyed that one. It was about a group of, I guess, cultists who lived in the forest, who take offence at people intruding into their lives and their spaces. And yeah, the next one is Third Burn by Courtney Gould, which I'm going to give a 4. I really liked it. It was sort of a story about the cyclical nature of towns and how the town had burned a witch and then there was a curse placed upon it, and it was pretty interesting. It Stays With You I really liked this one as well. This was a Bloody Mary story, and this is also a 4 from me. I really enjoyed it. I feel like, unfortunately, the authors that I'd read from previously didn't do quite so well as the new to me authors, so I'm quite excited to then go and read more from authors I hadn't heard from before. So yeah, It Stays With You was a Bloody Mary story, and I enjoyed it. It was again a little bit anxiety inducing. I sort of was a little bit nervous about it, and I don't know if that's just because I was also thinking about the Supernatural episode that had a similar premise, but there's that. Truth or Dare by Alex Brown was a 3 for me. It was interesting in concept, but it didn't give me what I wanted from a horror story. Like, it wasn't scary, or at pace or anything like that. It was just sort of more of a quiet story and I enjoyed it. It was written well, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted from the folk horror vibe. And then the Burning One by Shakira Toussaint, I'm giving 4 out of 5 stars. I had a really good time with it. It was interesting. It was about like a sort of story about like slavery and sort of white, yeah, it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was interesting. I enjoyed it in its sort of full form. So yeah, overall I think I'm going to give it a 4. There were some 5s in there and there were a couple of 3s, so I think it's going to average out at about a 4. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and I'm looking forward to reading more from the authors that I haven't read from before. And also Tori Bobolino I have an unread book of, and I think hers was maybe not my favourite story, but up there. What was my favourite? Yeah, no, I think Love by All Save One was in fact my favourite story. So Tori Bobolino, who edited it, also wrote my favourite story in this collection, which is pretty cool. So yeah, next I think I will be moving on to a book that is in a pile down here that I need to redistribute to get to, which is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which is a sequel to Ninth House, which is a dark academia, secret society at Yale. There's demons, there's ghosts, there's corrupt faculty members, all that jazz. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go in that story with Hellbent, and I'll check in with you when I've made some progress, probably. Hello, it is update time. I think it's been a hot second since I gave you any updates about Hellbent. I'm not even sure I gave you any as I was reading it. I have now finished Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. So what's it about, you ask? It is about Alex Stern, who is part of a secret society at Yale, and maybe bad things happened in her first year at the secret society at Yale, and things all come to a head for certain matters in the second book, and leave things very open for where things can go horrifically badly in the third book. Vague enough for a middle book for you? Okay, so in terms of how this fit into a miscellaneous spooky vlog, we have the dark academia vibe, we have ghosts, we have demons, we have vampires. So it could have fit in the vampire vlog technically, but like not really. So yeah, there was definitely a spooky atmosphere. I feel like it was less tense than I wanted it to be. We sort of lost a bit of atmosphere, I think, with the pacing. I had some issues with pacing with this, so I'm giving this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it and I'm very excited to see where the series goes with the final book. I don't know if it has a name yet, potentially. I don't know how it could have done the pacing better, but I definitely lost track a bit in the middle, and it could have been me. I could have been distracted. I was listening to the audiobook while I was working and sort of doing things, but it definitely lost me a bit in the middle, and we sort of did a couple of things repetitively. It just got a little bit draining. But I really like the characters. I enjoyed where our characters went in terms of the development this season. I'm watching too much TV. This book. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited to continue. And a win for this vlog with a 4 star. Now, for our final 2 books, we're like changing the plan a bit from what I talked to you about at the beginning, because I had a couple of library holds come in. So I got The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran, which I have been told by Goodreads is a horror. A compulsive thriller and supernatural horror, says Stylist. I know nothing about what it's about. I just know a couple of people that I follow have really liked it. And then I also got My Darling Dreadful Thing from the library. I can't remember who it's by, let me tell you. And I'm sort of scared. I don't know what this is about, and I'm sort of scared that it's about a haunted house and would fit with that vlog better. But here we are, we've done it now. Okay, so it's by Joanna Van Veen. And where's my synopsis? Okay. Oh, we have a crumbling estate and a murder. Sapphic! Okay, let me just read you the synopsis. And then I don't know which one I'm starting with because I have My Darling Dreadful Thing on audio and this physically. So it truly depends which vibe I'm in the mood for first. Okay. Spirits are drawn to salt, be it blood or tears. Ruth Beckman has a spirit companion only she can see. Ruth, strange, corpse-like, and dead for centuries, is the light of Rue's life. That is, until the wealthy young widow Agnes Knoop visits one of Rue's backroom seances and the two strike up a connection. Soon, Ruth is whisked away to the crumbling estate Agnes inherited upon the death of her husband, where an ill woman haunts the halls, strange smells drift through the air at night, and mysterious stone statues reside in the family chapel. Something dreadful festers in the manor, but still the attraction between Ruse and Agnes is undeniable. Then someone is murdered. Poor, alone, and with a history of hysterics, Ruse is the obvious culprit. With her sanity and innocence in question, she'll have to prove who or what is at fault or lose everything she holds dear. Interesting. So it does seem like it fit better in the haunted house vlog, but alas, we've passed that point. And then this one is Books, Magic, Ghosts. Rare book dealer Lily Albrecht has been given a tip-off about the Book of the Most Precious Substance, rumoured to be the most powerful occult book ever written. With some of the world's wealthiest people willing to pay a fortune for it, she embarks on a journey from New York to New Orleans to Munich to Paris, knowing that it could also help erase the greatest tragedy of her life. But does the book really exist, or will Lily lose everything in search of a ghost? The synopsis isn't screaming spooky, scary skeletons, but I've heard it's a horror, so... And I've heard fantastic things, and that it's well written, and you know I love a well written book. So yeah, they're the next 2 books, and last 2 books. Have I read everything else? Yeah, the last 2 books for this vlog. Hopefully we get a 5-star in there, fingers crossed for me. And I will check in with you when I've decided which one I'm reading and what I'm thinking of it. Hello, I have no idea what this lighting situation is going to be like when I come to edit, but it's quite late and I'm about to go to sleep, but I thought I should let you know that I've started The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. I still haven't figured out what the correct pronunciation of it is. I'm going to go with Sarah for now, and we'll correct at some point if necessary, because I finished the Book of the... No, this is The Book of the Most Precious Substance, because I finished My Darling Dreadful Thing, which I have some issues with, but I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it, and it did have like a good atmosphere, and I think if you liked Crimson Peak, the Guillermo del Toro film, you like it had like a vibe of it. But my main issue was like the narrative structure of it being told as a recounting, with a doctor asking questions and then our patient like sort of diving into the narrative, meant that I was expecting the doctor to have more of a role. I thought that it would be more than a narrative device, that it would be a narrative point, that it would be there for a purpose as opposed to just a way to give us information, and that didn't come to fruition, and it just felt like we had these random moments of the doctor talking to our main character that just weren't necessary. It's quite late and I'm forgetting everyone's names, but then everyone is also referred to as just like initials in the doctor sections, which is fine, but like sometimes I felt myself drifting a little bit. If I was listening to it at work, I was just like, wait, who? Everyone is just getting initials. You could say names, it would not take you that long. But yeah, I just felt a little bit let down by it, but I did enjoy the story and the atmosphere and the relationship, but didn't love it. But I did quite like the idea of like certain people having their own personal ghosts that only they can see. You also have a personal ghost and then you know about it, like a secret club of only haunted people. I thought that was fun, but yeah, overall it fell a little bit flat for me, which is disappointing. However, I'm 6 chapters into The Book of the Most Precious Substance and so far having a great time. That might have something to do with the fact that I'm filming a couple of vlogs concurrently, so I'm reading this at the same time as starting House of Leaves, and this is so much easier to read than House of Leaves. I'm 6 chapters in, and so far what it is about is we have a woman, Lily, who is a rare book collector, and she's not a specialist, so she doesn't collect books on a certain subject. She's a rare, like sort of generalist, and will just collect a myriad of different kinds of books and sell them on. And at a market, someone that she doesn't really have much interaction with comes up to her and asks if she's ever heard of The Book of the Most Precious Substance, and would she be able to find it, because he's brokered a deal to sell it for a lot of money, and Lily's currently struggling for money. I think she has an ailing father, she lives sort of upstate New York area and just wants a nice little house and a cozy reading chair, etc. And there's a guy called Lucas who is going to help her try and find the book, and we haven't got any further than that, and I feel like The Book of the Most Precious Substance might cause some problems for dear Lily here, because the man who asked if she could find the book showed up dead less than 24 hours later, and the way that it's revealed made me giggle. It shouldn't have. I can't find it now. Okay, so the beginning of chapter 4, so it's not really a spoiler, we're on page 17, says Goodman came over to ask if I'd heard about Shyman. No. Heard what? He was mugged last night. He's okay. He's dead. Why would you lead with being mugged and not being murdered? You know, like that doesn't make sense to me. It made me laugh and I was not supposed to. So I'm going to continue reading that this evening, hopefully make like a chunk of progress. I'm probably going to only read for like 30-40 minutes before I get tired and start watching cross-stitch YouTube videos. It is what it is. And yeah, I will check in with you tomorrow with my update, or maybe a bit later. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow I'm hoping to start reorganising my bookshelves and maybe do some cross stitch and like cook. Got lots of things on the agenda, and because this is a physical read that I need to read with my eyes, this might not take priority, but I have a couple of other things I could listen to on audio. So yeah, hopefully I get some evening reading done as I'm going to sleep. But like I said, I've fallen down a cross-stitch rabbit hole and I might want to watch some FlossedTube instead. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully this keeps me accountable. You got me. Hello, I'm here to give you the like 50% update for the Book of the Most Precious Substance. I steered you wrong last time. I said that our main character, Lily, probably had an ailing father. She did not. She has an ailing husband, and that's that on me for failing to acknowledge that young people get sick also. He has early onset dementia, so he's not doing so hot. And Lily and Lucas, I don't like that as a pairing name, Lily and Lucas. I don't like Lucas and Lily either if you flip it. Anyway, irrelevant. They're now sort of taking steps to locate the book and maybe complete some of the activities in it in order to get some power. And I'm assuming Lily wants to get Abel better. That seems to be her only focus in life at the moment. But if she manages to have some fun sex in the meantime, then like, what's the harm, I guess? But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm very interested to see where it goes. I'm not sure I'm going to read any more of it this evening because I want to cross stitch. So I'll probably be reading an audiobook, and since there are no books left for this vlog, I'll have to start something else. But yeah, just thought I'd do a quick update, let you know what's going on, and hopefully I will finish this up tomorrow. I'm hoping to read a little bit more before I go to sleep tonight, after cross-stitching for a couple of hours, and then yeah, read it tomorrow, and then get it back to the library the day after, because that's when it's due back at the library. So I'll catch up with you. Is not the put together look I wanted to have when I told you I finished my final book of the vlog, but it's cold and I'm about to shower, so I'm gonna look even more bedraggled later today, and I want to get this vlog out. So I finished the Book of the Most Precious Substance, and I don't have it with me anymore because I had to return it to the library. It was due today, so I finished it just in the nick of time. And oh, how do I wrap up my thoughts for it? I'm giving it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It went on so many journeys. I like laugh in places, and I pulled like a face in places, and it went so many places I wasn't expecting it to go, and I had a really good time. And like, it's not that I'm disappointed with the ending, it's that I sort of want, it's not that I'm not disappointed, like it ended well for the narrative. I just think for the character I wanted something more, but it hasn't diminished my enjoyment of it all. It's just sort of that I understand for the purpose of the story why we ended it like this. However, I grew quite attached to Lily, and so I sort of wish things had gone a little bit differently, but not in a way that has impacted my rating. So we finally had a 5-star for this vlog, just as we're wrapping it up. So what did I read for this one? So we finished with the Book of the Most Precious Substance, 5-star, great, really enjoyed it, highly recommend if you want like a weird book about someone searching for a rare magical book. Before that we had My Darling Dreadful Thing, which I think I landed on a 3.75 for. Editing Megan, correct me if I'm wrong. And I recommend for fans of Crimson Peak, but if you wanted it to be lesbian. And before that, I'm gonna have to check my Goodreads, which is insane. I shouldn't have to check my Goodreads. We're gonna edit all of this out though, because I love myself. Oh, we read The Gathering Dark, which was an anthology of folk horror edited by Tori Bobolino. And I think I landed on a 4 for that one. There were some stories in it that I really enjoyed, and I will definitely be reading more from, who was it that I wanted to read more from? Erica Waters. I really enjoyed Erica Waters' story. So yeah, so we read The Gathering Dark, which I did like, and I'm glad I finally got to. I also read Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which again, I really enjoyed. It is a sequel to Ninth House, a book about Alex Stern, who gets to go to Yale because she can see ghosts and she is participating in a secret society. So she sort of gets a sneaky backdoor entrance into Yale because she technically doesn't have the academic acumen because she's had a bit of a rough start in life, and it's sort of the journey from there. And I really enjoyed it. It was a good time, but I do think it had a little bit of second book syndrome, and I'm excited to see where the third book does go. And the last book I read for this vlog, I hope, was A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft, which I'm giving 3 stars. And I'm disappointed that I didn't enjoy it as much because I have really loved Alison Saft in the past, and an Alison Saft book I used as sort of one of my inspirations in a further instalment of this sort of spooky Halloween series that I'm doing for the haunted house vibe, because Down Comes the Night is so good. But yeah, this is a dark academia that's sort of a locked room murder mystery where there's a group of people on a boat and they're all searching for this hidden well of magic when the leader of the expedition gets killed, and our main character Lorelei has to find out who did it or she will suffer the consequences. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the world. I just think the romance wasn't what I wanted from it, and Alison Saft does romance really well most of the time, so it being rushed was disappointing, and I was sad. And the writing didn't lend itself to a sort of darker academic murder mystery story. It still felt a little bit just, it didn't feel as adult as I wanted it to. But yeah, overall I didn't hate anything I read. I was only mildly disappointed by some other things, and I would recommend all of them to certain people. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully I get it edited and posted. I have no idea if I have a thumbnail for it, so that sucks for me. Oh, I didn't tell you why it took me so long to finish The Book of the Most Precious Substance though. You will have seen B-roll, so let me just sort of tell you what happened there. I went to watch Come From Away because it's on tour and it was near me, and I cried for the 100-minute runtime basically since the first song started. I just was always feeling a little bit close to tears. I basically cried the entire time. Went to the Waterstones, bought myself a book, Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. Excited to read that. Would have probably fit the vibe of this vlog, but alas, didn't buy it before it started. And then went to the works. Didn't film in the works though, because I was distracted by looking for a certain thing that I couldn't find. I've ordered it, so that will arrive at some point. And yeah, and then went to a charity shop, had a look around the bric-a-brac, but didn't end up picking up anything. So it was a nice day, but it was exhausting, so I didn't read anything yesterday evening, even though I was fully intending on finishing the book and updating you yesterday. I'd cried too much. My eyes weren't working, my brain wasn't working, and I'm still sort of feeling the lethargy of like that emotional release. But yeah, we've wrapped this up. I'm gonna go shower and hopefully wake myself up a little bit, and you'll hopefully see this tomorrow, fingers crossed, and then continue to see a vlog a week from me for the foreseeable future. So yeah, hopefully this all goes well, and I will see you in a new video very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and leave me a comment if you're interested in any of the books or have any recommendations for me for this miscellaneous spooky genre, because I've sort of tapped out my shelves so far, so let me know.